Hey, Kurt Ratzlaff here with SmallCraftCruising, and it has been almost 8 months since my last video, and boy, a lot has happened. To start off with, you may notice that I am in a black interior vehicle and not the maroon interior of the vehicle that I just bought 2 videos ago. Basically, I needed a small tow vehicle that I could use to tow the boats around to, bring them to the water so we could make some videos, right? And the reason I specifically chose a GMC Jimmy was because on my other channel, Adventure on Top, I wanted to do like an overlanding series called Jimmy and Me, which is really cool because I have a GMC Jimmy to go Jimmy and Me, great little... I thought it was kind of clever, I started buying parts for it, started fixing up a lot of the little things it needed to make it into a, reasonable truck that I could reliably tow trailers with, several hundred miles to all the different bodies of water and such. Well, it turns out that the Jimmy just was not interested in being a part of this at all. A few $100s turned into a few $1,000s, and then a few $1,000s turned into a few more $1,000s. Several $1,000s into that GMC Jimmy, it was finally a nice working, the 4-wheel drive works, the engine was great, AC worked, like just everything worked on that truck. And I finally got it running well enough to go do an off-road adventure. And halfway to the off-road adventure, the Jimmy decided, I'm done.
All right, let's hear it.
Oh, it's knocking pretty bad. And then I decided, you know what? I'm done with the Jimmy. So why didn't I post? Because I didn't have a truck to pull my boats to go to the water to make videos with. But I live near Lake Tahoe, California, and this was one of the worst winters on record. The Jimmy died in October, and I was like, all right, I'll take like 2 or 3 months, save up some money, and go get another 4x4. Well, come January, all the snow and all the sleet and all the terrible weather conditions, there was just nothing available at anything of a reasonable price. So I had to get creative. And I was watching this old movie and there was a 4x4 in the movie. So I was like, are those any good? So now I am the proud owner of a 2002 Mercedes ML class, because apparently this is gonna be more reliable than a 92 GMC Jimmy. And one of the problems with going on Craigslist and Facebook and looking at all these cars and stuff is not only did I find one, but I may have also found a little something else that I brought home too. So let's talk a little more about what's behind the Mercedes. So I have that 1959 12-foot Nylox, and when I was on Craigslist, I saw this one. This is a 1961. It's the exact same boat, 2 years newer. Originally, the reason I bought the 59 was because I wanted a practice boat that I could work on and practice fiberglassing, practice rebuilding and all that. Well, now that that boat's done, I'm gonna take all those skills I learned and we're gonna put all of them into this, and this is gonna be the exact same boat, but a lot nicer. It has the original 1961 Nylox steering wheel. It's got some of the original controls. It's got some of the original badging. There's actually a lot of stuff on this boat that is still original to it. All right, so I was gonna make a video of backing the thing up into the stuff, but it is currently snowing. It is May 2nd and it is snowing outside. So we didn't make the video, we're just gonna cut to the inside. Sorry about that. All right, so if I've already got this boat, which I spent 2 years restoring, why would I buy that boat, which is literally the exact same boat? This is a 12-foot Nylox, that's a 12-foot Nylox. And the answer comes in the top. That one has an aftermarket convertible top. This one does not. So my original plan was to take the top and the windshield off of that boat and put it on this boat. However, when I went to see that boat in person, I realized there are some very specific differences in how they built that boat versus how they built this boat. Let me show you. So I love having this windshield, but it hits me right about here, which means all the wind goes right into my face and doesn't really protect very much. That windshield is about 2.5 inches taller. It's not gonna be completely coverage, but every little bit helps. However, I need to show you something. While I do love the idea of the convertible top, there's a problem. All I can see is vinyl. So even with this windshield being taller, it's still not quite tall enough. So what I'm gonna have to do when I remake this is I'm gonna have about 6 inches of clear vinyl go across, that way I can see through it and the windshield. Now I've been taking a lot of measurements, and yes, the top side of both of these boats is very different. However, the bottom side of these hulls are as identical as I can find, except for I found one major difference. If you look here, this is completely flat on the bottom. In the new model, if you look, there's a slight uptip. The last 4 inches just goes up slightly. I've had this boat out in the ocean and a bunch of different lakes, and when this thing's fully loaded with 3 people and a little bit of gear, this thing sits pretty low in the water because it was engineered originally for a lightweight 2-stroke engine, but you basically can't get 2 strokes anymore because they're not legal in a lot of lakes. So I had to go with a 4-stroke, and a 25 horsepower 4-stroke, which is on the back of this, is 160 pounds. And realistically, that's really heavy for how small this transom is. So the problem with that is when this boat's fully loaded, that water line, now originally this is 19 inches from the bottom of the hull to the top. But when this boat's fully loaded, see this little seam right here? That water sits right at that seam, and it gives me about 10 inches. Even a small modern ski boat will throw a wake bigger than 10 inches, which means if I'm not paying attention and there's a wave coming, bam, this thing gets swamped almost immediately. However, on this boat, they added the little flares, and the difference here is we have 22 inches instead of only 19. But also, they've improved the splashbacks. So let me show you that. If a wave does come over, it'll land in the splashback and not swamp the boat. The problem with this splashback is it's about 15 inches from the back of the stern to the front of the splashback. And the splashback's not very big. So when it comes to this boat, not only are the sides here 2.5 inches taller, this splashback goes 20 inches to the back. And this splashback, if you look really closely, is much higher. This one here, you've got 16 inches to the top of the splashback, whereas on this model, they raised it to 20 inches. So the top of the splashback is 5 inches further in and 4 inches taller. So this entire thing, the entire back of the boat is just that much thicker, so it's that much harder for a wave to come in here. And I saw this and was like, I like this design a lot better. So what's the plan for these boats? Well, as much as I would love to spend another $5,000 on a really nice brand new outboard motor and put it on there and have 2 very nice working boats, I don't have that kind of money. So we're gonna take all of the good parts off of this boat, we're gonna transfer them to that boat, and then I'm gonna have basically an empty hull. Probably just gonna sell it. I don't really know what to do with it. That's the big reveal for Summer Project 2023. Now, if you live anywhere near Lake Tahoe, that's where I'm at. So if you have any desire whatsoever to come help me out or just have a beer while I do all the work, I'm totally cool with that. Also, if you have facilities that you could lend me that's better than some garage somewhere, that would also be pretty cool. Because you remember, I'm doing this all under my own budget here. You can shoot me an email at smallcraftcruising@gmail.com, or I'm Kurt Ratzlaff. You can look me up on Facebook. I'm on there sometimes too. That's the big reveal for this video. Hope you enjoy, and I hope you look forward to what's to come.